Hi, friends, and welcome back to the Miami Book Hub. I'm your host, J. Adrian Betancourt. Author by night, urban planner by day, explorer of ideas and all things always. One of the things we love to do here, of course, is to showcase authors. I would say that's the primary purpose of this podcast. And I have one of Miami's best authors, well known not only in Miami, but nationwide, if not globally. Globally, we're going global, baby. Yeah, we're doing it. Her name is Rochelle Weinstein. You've probably, if you're a writer, you've probably taken one of her many workshops. I think the first time I met you was at a workshop at the Miami-Dade Library. So not only are you an author, but you're a big supporter of Miami's literary community. You do so much. So welcome to the program, Rochelle.
Thank you so much for having me. It is really a pleasure to be here. And it is such a pleasure to be able to give back to the Miami community. I know how hard it is out there. So it's wonderful to be able to pay it forward.
Now, you're a Miamian, but were you born and raised here as well?
Okay. We're
one of the few.
We're like an anomaly here.
We totally are.
Yeah.
You know, we're growing in number.
And we've watched that metamorphosis of Miami, which is some good, some traffic, not so good.
Right. Always fascinating. We are never boring.
That is so true. We're always on the news.
But I love that people are starting to stay here or come back here. I did leave for a short period and then I came back. You start to miss it. And Miami has become a place that you can be proud of.
For sure.
You know, and when you go anywhere in the world, you say you're from Miami, you say it with some pride. And people are excited. Oh, you're from Miami. How cool.
We've become more of a cultural hub than we used to be. Than just lay on the beach with a book in your hands. Much more cultural, sophisticated, the arts and whatnot. So yes, it is a place to be proud of, except for the traffic.
That traffic. Okay, that's my other podcast. That's another discussion for another time. But, and I believe that our arts and cultural renaissance began with the literary arts. With the Miami Book Fair and everything that Mitch Kaplan and all the other people involved in that really started, over 40 years ago now. So predates Art Basel, predates all those museums, and so all those things have been great additions, but it started with literature.
So we owe it to Mitchell Kaplan.
Mitch and company. Mitch should be the first to say he didn't do it alone, but yes.
For sure. His team over there is phenomenal.
Yeah, and Miami-Dade College and the Miami-Dade Public Library System all put that together. I imagine you participate in the book fair?
I have several times. I've been a moderator. I've been on the panels. It's an amazing week in Miami, not to be missed, supporting authors, writers, and booksellers and whatnot. It's really a magical week, especially when it doesn't rain.
Yes. Well, I think they finally picked a good weekend. It doesn't tend to rain in November. So yeah. It's happened. I know. I've been there. I've also been, you'd think in November it'd be cooler already, but man, I've been there when it's been 95.
Oh, I know.
That's not a lot of fun.
I know. Well, that's why you got to go hunker down in one of the auditoriums and hear some fabulous speakers.
But we're going to have fabulous weather this year because this year I hope to have my book on display. So we'll see. I have to get it published. So Rochelle, you are a prolific writer. You've written several books. Very impressive to someone like me who's still trying to complete their first. We have some of them behind you there. We have some of them in front of you. But you're here. Let's talk actually about your journey, where you started, what was your first book, and then we can get into your most recent one.
Well, first of all, I sat where you sat, and the only thing different between a published author and one sitting in that seat is the never giving up. And my publishing journey started in the year 2000. And I did not set out to become a published author. I was in marketing, advertising, promotions, and I loved writing. I was a voracious reader. I always say that Judy Blume and Danielle Steele, they raised me. But, becoming an author, I didn't even know if that was something. I didn't know that I had the chops to do it. Yeah. You're always doubting yourself. That's part of being a writer.
Absolutely. I don't think that ever ends.
Yeah. And listen, you could have 10 books behind you, bestsellers, and you still have imposter syndrome. And you're like, I don't know, like it's some sort of fluke. I don't know how this happened. So I will say that I was working for the Box Music Network. So if we have anyone out there that remembers the Box, it was a music network on cable that it was like a jukebox, and you used to call up and pay $2 to see your video on air. And it was an amazing job. And my kids always say, you were so much cooler when you were hanging out with Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears. But the company was bought by MTV, became MTV2, and they offered me my position in New York City. And I had just given birth to twin boys. And you can't take the kids away from the grandparents. That's like a big no-no.
This is true.
So I ended up, not going to New York. And I was at this career crossroads in my life where I'd always worked. I worked since the day I was 14. And what was I going to do? And I was like, you know what? I have some story I want. Like as a writer, don't you feel it in here?
Absolutely.
Like
You have to get it out.
you feel something like you just need to get it out. So I literally sat down and wrote my first novel. And when I tell you I went through the slog fest of, trying to get it published, I was in Miami. This was the year 2001, 2002. It was almost impossible for an unknown just coming out of the blue to, immerse herself in the New York City literary scene. That's where everything was happening. And I sent out.
I don't think that's changed, by the way.
No, it's still very hard. But I had enough rejection letters to wallpaper an entire bathroom. So, I mean, I have some funny stories, which I tell in my classes, like how one agent that rejected me finally came back to me. Like there's always some fun stories, but this was probably the year 2010. And after my husband's ex-girlfriend, who was a literary agent in Manhattan, turned me down, and my dream of me and the ex-girlfriend being on Oprah's couch fizzled, I was like,
that would have been a great story.
Wouldn't that have been a great story? Yeah. Except she referred to him as an unmitigated toad. So we, self-publishing was on the rise, and back then there was a stigma associated with it. I'm not going to lie. There was a stigma associated with it. It was, this is career suicide. It's lingering, but it's changed because you know why? It's been reframed to, it's like a DIY, do it yourself.
Entrepreneurship.
Indie entrepreneur. So it's just basically reframing, we're all writers, just re-edit the script. So I said, this is one of the questions I always ask in my classes, and you, for a writer, you should know your why. Why am I doing this? Why did I write this book? Why did I pour my heart and soul into this? And everybody has a different answer, and you have to know the one that's your personal one for you, because that's the only way you're going to get where you want to go. Yeah. And I said to myself, I have my family's heard this a million times. I wanted to put this tangible piece of evidence out into the world that I did this. I had no delusions of grandeur. I had no delusions of New York Times bestseller list. I just said, I wrote this, want to put it out there. I'm going to market it. And I had a strong marketing, PR, and advertising background from my time in the music business. So it
explains why you're so good at it, by the way.
Oh, well, I try.
Put on master classes, and I'm sure you do on that subject.
Listen, it's hard and it's frustrating in the industry, which we might get to, just keeps changing. But that first book, and again, I don't know, it's right.
I told you that'd be tricky.
This is fun, though. Okay, so that was What We Leave Behind, and I self-published What We Leave Behind, and then shortly after, I self-published The Morning After. And I hired a professional editor. You have to put some money into it if you want it to sparkle and shine. So What We Leave Behind did pretty well, and The Morning After did pretty well. So I was finally able to parlay those sales into finding that agent. But it took a long time. And here's the best part of the story. The best part of the story is I got an agent, got a book deal with Lake Union Publishing, which I have now published 6 books with them, and my 7th book with them is coming out in April of 2027, and I'm turning it in tomorrow. So this is a big day for me, big tomorrow.
Well, thank you for taking the time to be here.
Are you kidding?
Such an important
Of course. It's due tomorrow, and you should have it pretty much done before you're done.
I would hope so.
So, where was I? So we were with Lake Union, and there's the Bible for all things publishing is Publishers Marketplace, and you familiarize yourself with it, and it's where all the deals are being made, whether it's agents, editors, publishing houses, imprints, and you can just search for names, and if you're thinking about querying a certain agent and you want to know what genre and what they've sold lately, if they have sold anything lately. So I just was playing around on it, and I searched my name. Who the heck knows why I searched my name? Because maybe whatever, because I had a book or 2 out. And it said there was a bestseller column. So I clicked on it and it said, What We Leave Behind. They're trying to trick me here. What We Leave Behind, my first self-published book, hit the USA Today bestseller list. I found out about it 4 years after the fact.
Oh my.
And only because I searched on Publishers Marketplace. And it hit like 1 or 2 years after it came out. I didn't have an agent. I didn't have a publishing house like looking at, USA Today, searching for me. So I stumbled across this, and it's been this like mantra I've had that, to all of those writers who are out there in the trenches, I did not have that accolade to buoy me through some of the most difficult, harrowing times, facing all that rejection. And I still got up and dusted myself off with every rejection, every wallpaper of my bathroom, and I kept going. And to me, that's the best story that I've ever told. I love the books I write. Obviously, I love to see them succeed and sell lots of copies. But the fact that I just kept going is so important. And that's where I started this long monologue, that you just got to keep going. You've got to have the resilience, persistence, tenacity, grit, determination. And you've got to just not take things so personally. It takes one person to change the whole trajectory of your career.
By the way, in the end, if it never happens, you've still written a book.
Oh my gosh.
It's still out in the universe. It will outlive you.
For sure.
And you've gotten your story out there.
That was it's like expect the, what is that saying? Expect the worst and hope for the best, expect the worst. I manage my expectations. Mm-hmm. So that was just like the icing on the cake. I'd already like accomplished, the writing and putting myself out there. That was really my goal.
And now you're a full-time author, right? You do this. I mean, I know you speak and you do workshops and other things, but all as an author. This isn't like a side gig.
No, I'm a full-time author. It takes up too much of my life and my brain, and it's just I'm always in thought and character. And my characters are always in my head, like spinning around different plots and whatnot. And and then you always say like I'm not doing this anymore, and this is it's too hard. I'm done, and I'm not doing this anymore. And then like you go out to dinner, and like you see this couple in a bar, and you're like,
ooh, that would be interesting to write.
What's going on with these two? And like you're like, oh, and then suddenly you're writing another book.
Yeah. Do you love your characters? I have fallen in love with my characters, and I don't know if it's because they're all maybe pieces of me, and I just love myself. I don't know. But it's like I think about them all the time, and they've become like friends. Maybe I'm just psychotic.
So I'm of the age where I have a little foggy brain, so I can't even remember half my characters. But I do, it's funny. I've been asked, like, are there certain characters that I miss, and bringing them back, and I don't know. It's kind of like bringing a baby into the world and then just like sending it off to college and just being like, okay, I've done my job and now you need to just like swim or fly. Or I don't get attached, and I definitely see myself in a lot of my characters. I see me, but I also see what I hope to be. Where I see some of my weaknesses, I'll sometimes write characters that are the opposite. Hopefully they'll inspire me.
Yeah. I mean, writing a book is the best therapy ever, right? I mean, you're getting all of your insecurities out there, all your hopes and dreams, and it's very cathartic.
It's so cathartic. And listen, I'm asked all the time, like, how much of your books are about real life? And I always tell the story that, like, my dad will read my books and he'll call me up and he'll be like, you killed me on page 4. And I'm like, no, actually it was page 5. No, I'm kidding. But, it's like a stream of consciousness sometimes. It's like it's fictionalized journal writing.
Which book would you say is the closest representation of your life?
Oh, gosh.
What's the most personal?
I don't know. I think they're all
fiction.
They're all personal, but What We Leave Behind is just it was my first book, baby. And I just feel like that was my innocence, and it was autobiographical, maybe to some extent, processing some really deep feelings. And, I always say that I take emotions that I've felt or I've witnessed or I've experienced and I fictionalize them. So What We Leave Behind seems always still personal to me. But I have tons of people that say to me, oh my God, this book was so personal, and they see somebody in it. Or So it's hard to tell.
Has your writing changed dramatically from that first book through to where you are today?
I hope so.
For the better, I would imagine,
I
right?
hope so. So my books come out and I won't read my books. I won't listen to my books. I just can't because I mean, you're a writer. It's like writing is editing and editing and
Yeah.
editing. And I'll just read my book and I'll be like, oh, this is so horrible.
You've already read it 43
like
times.
how, and it's like familiarity breeds contempt, how many times you read it. But I'll be like, why would I write that word? Like there's such a better phrase. And listen, I'm a huge reader. I learned so much by my author pals and just the way that they articulate on the page. I've learned from some incredible editors, Tiffany Yates Martin, Danielle Marshall, Alicia Clancy. I've worked with some fabulous editors that have really like taught me craft, Jody Warshaw also. So I've learned from every one of them. I'm not one of those self-proclaimed like expert. Like I know there's so much to learn about writing and the process.
Well, that's true about life, right?
Yeah.
You never stop learning. I don't care how old you are. You could always be better. You could always evolve.
Right.
Take a different angle, different perspective.
For sure.
So yeah, one of my fears, I'm writing what I hope to be a 9-volume series.
Oh my goodness. Ambitious.
Very ambitious, and we'll see if it happens. Let's get the first one off the ground. One step at a time. But in my mind, I kind of have the saga kind of outlined. And one of my fears is, by the time I get to the later end of that, I'm going to look back at my first book and think it's garbage. And it's like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed that I wrote that.
Just don't read it.
I think that's a great solution. It really
don't
is.
read it.
Don't read it. Don't read the critics.
It. Don't read I don't read reviews. My husband reads reviews.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you a fun game I play. When I say that because my husband, he thinks all my reviews are his. When we got our first bad review on What We Leave Behind, the person's name, we just made a character in the second novel, that person's name, and we made her a cat.
That is brilliant.
So you can just like channel your like angst in a creative way.
The first drafts of my book, I had certain people in my life that I didn't care for that I wrote into certain, and then later on I thought better of it. I'm like, no, don't do that. Well, and I took them out, but
okay, so
it felt good.
I'm gonna like pivot for a second. So the book that I'm writing right now, that's coming out in April of 2027, it's called The Outbox, and it's about a young woman, Lily. She's a literary agent, so it's actually like a little light satire on the publishing world. Her therapist brother tells her, you have all these things going on in your head. You should write them down. Write letters to the people who've wronged you or hurt you or whatnot. Don't send them and just keep them and then keep going back to them and editing them. Like, this is what you're talking about. This is exactly what you're talking about. Well, of course, in the novel, in the fiction world, she emails, she puts in an email draft and she, writes the people's names like a moron, and there's a glitch and they go out. And, so
it's happened to me.
So that's the story. But it's so funny how you're saying, because, processing feelings and emotions in our heads and in our lives is very similar to what we're doing on the page, except there's that fictional spin on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you write, I have written also in my books, like a character in life that I just like, and I'm nasty and I get all it out on the page. And then when you're through edits and edits and edits, you pare it down. Yeah. You get to the point where you're like, I'm okay. I got it out of me. So that's the beauty of being able to write.
Oh gosh, now I'm going to look for myself in one of her books and see what she says.
You're going to be like this awesome guy
I'd be okay with being a cat. I've always said the best life in the world is to be my wife's cat. It's a pampered
She
animal.
must love her cat.
She does. She does. He's a good boy. So let's talk about the book you have out now. And I know you did a book signing at Books and Books not too long ago. So what is it about?
Okay, so We Are Made of Stars. It was just released. It was released a year ago, actually.
A year ago, okay.
Yeah, it was February, and it's the story about 8 lives. It's 7 days in summer, 8 lives forever changed. And my little hook, like my little sales pitch, was Virgin River meets White Lotus.
Like it.
But then I saw White Lotus season 3 and I was like, I don't know. So I had to pull that back a little bit and I went with Virgin River meets 9 Perfect Strangers. So it's about 8 guests at this beautiful mountainous inn in North Carolina, which is based on a real inn that I have frequented. And they do have a chef and a culinary table, and all the characters dine this gourmet meal every single night at the table. The chef cooks dinner for you. So it's two best friend couples. It's a couple who's a Hollywood actor and his wife, and they're about to get divorced. And then there's a 15-year-old daughter and her mom, Rosalie and Cassidy. So it's this fabulous dynamic of strangers and friends being at this table, and the secrets and the connections and the getting to know each other, and just, it's kind of like that stranger on a train syndrome, where you're like thrown together in this like unique, like finite situation, and all the secrets and the drama that unfolds.
So, and that seems to be a common thread through your books. You're focused on people and relationships,
Yeah.
And potentially kind of conflicts between them. Is it also, to some extent, possibly a commentary on the society we live in today, and how we're all divided, and what would happen if we were to come together, and how is this kind of like a metaphor for the larger picture, or is it really just about small group?
That's so interesting. I didn't even look at it like that, but it could be. I took it more as a metaphor for, we are made of stars, and the table was the sun, and the characters around the table were the planets, and how we're all a part of something so much bigger, and this coming together in this space. But that's a good way of putting it.
Well, you could use that now.
Yeah, I'm going to use that for my next book.
Different audience.
Thank you.
So any other books you want to talk about? I know we're going to talk in a little bit about some that you haven't written, but of the ones you have written, anything else stand out?
What's exciting is What You Do to Me.
Okay. I love that cover. I love all your covers, by the way. I don't know if you've had a consistent cover designer or if you, but they're all beautiful.
Thank you. I will pass that along to my publisher. This one's special because this one, two things are special about it. It's based on the song "Hey There, Delilah." Do you know the song?
Hey there, Delilah.
I won't sing.
As I said, we're going to have a karaoke podcast.
Yeah, I won't sing. But Tom Higginson from the Plain White Tees, when I used to be in the music business, I had a very close friend, Doug Cohn. He's still my very close friend, and he put me in touch with Tom Higginson, and we got lyric approval. What you do to me is, oh, what you do to me? I'm not singing it. He wrote the foreword, which will make you cry. He did like our promo work. So it was special. It was a special book, and it was about this Rolling Stone reporter on the hunt for the muse behind this famous love song. I did not love the real story behind the Delilah song, so I decided that I was going to fictionalize this whole new version, and with a wholly different characters, different ending. And so it's based on Hey There, Delilah. But the really amazing news is that it was optioned for a film.
That's super exciting. So that is my dream. Yeah. And that's why I'm writing a series. That's what I picked. And that is your first foray into that, right?
It's hard. Listen, everybody wants to get. The best day of my life was posting about the article in Deadline about the option for film, and then it takes forever. It takes forever. There's so much. It's so slow if it even happens. Right. So you have to be one of those people that's like, I am so grateful that someone even recognized this book and somebody optioned it, and this is like there's proof of that in the world, because that's enough for me. If the movie gets made. That, again, icing on the cake, managing expectations.
So what is that process like? I mean, did you write this book hoping this would be the one to be turned into a film, or just you wrote it and someone said this would make a great film? Like how did that
realistically,
unravel?
Any writer who slaves day and night over a book, they want to see it picked up for film. I mean, anybody does, but it's like this this dream that is it going to really happen, or I'm just too much of a realist, or I'm just too like negative Nancy. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's more realistic. It's so hard. It's so hard. And I admire any writer that sees their book in film. And, a shout out to Gabby Kono and Little Fishy Productions. They're the studio that optioned the movie, and they're working on a screenplay right now. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully one day I'll be on here and we'll be discussing the movie, or we'll be heading to the premiere.
My next podcast. Okay. It's going to be all about film.
Yeah.
Or literary adaptation.
Yeah.
Might have to move to Hollywood for that.
Okay. I'm on it.
No, but what were the mechanics of that? Just out of curiosity. It's like it's pitched to somebody, or like I don't know.
So if you have a literary agent, okay, first of all, you can, and we probably should talk about this, like how self-publishing is very different today, because there are indie authors today that are just killing it. You know, they've broken, Book Talk is a huge influencer, and it's a bookshop in itself, and it's catapulting authors to like ridiculously high levels. Those people are getting they could be just recognized by talent agents, or you have a literary agent, and you have a literary agent and a film agent. Like your literary agency works in tandem with a film agency, so they will, submit your book to, different producers and contacts or whatnot. And it's just sometimes I mean, listen, if you're Colleen Hoover, they're looking at your books. Sarah Mass, they're looking at your books. They're, when you're the top 1%, they're looking at your books for film. For the rest of us, it's a matter of sometimes just timing, luck, having a really great, aggressive, connected literary film agent. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Well, it's hard but worthwhile, and I really look forward to seeing it. It's going to happen.
Okay.
And I want to be at the premiere. Okay.
Okay.
So you're right.
Of course.
All right. So now we only have a few minutes left, and we want to introduce a new segment into our little podcast here. Something you've done for several years across multiple platforms is book picks.
Yeah.
And so here, for the first time on the Miami Book Hub, we have Reading with Rochelle. So what did you bring for us today?
Okay. So I'm super excited to be sharing my picks because, one, I'm a huge reader, and two, I love supporting other authors. So these are my May picks. These were books that I've read and I think you should pick up this month. This is Dog Person by Camille Pagan. And this book is narrated by a dog named Harold. And Harold has lost his owner, Amelia May, and her widower is grieving. But Harold made a promise to Amelia May that he was going to help her husband find love again. In the midst of all this, their store, they own a bookstore. I mean, you got dogs, you got books, and you got love. So it's this is like the perfect book. In the midst of all this, their store is going under. So they set off on a journey to find this author that didn't show up for an event that was going to help, input money into their store. So they set off on this journey, and of course, they're on a journey and they find love and healing and hope, and it's bittersweet and beautiful, and it's what I would say, instead of a 5-star read, it's a 5 hanky tear tissue read. So it's beautiful, and I love Camille Pagan's books.
Is it family friendly? Like, is something my 15-year-old daughter could read?
I think so.
Okay, she loves dogs, so I think it's really cool.
Don't quote me on that.
All right.
But
we'll give it a go.
I would look it online to see if there's any type of ratings. Okay, hold on. Next up, which I read this one. I did not read this one, although we could have a debate on, is Audible reading a book or not? So I listened to this one on Audible.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I listened to this one on Audible, Life and Death and Giants by Ron Rindo. This is just a beautiful book about, literally, its title, Life, Death, and Giants. The main character is an orphan boy who was born at 18 pounds. Okay?
Wow.
He's orphaned. His older brother is taking care of him. When he dies, he moves in with his Amish grandparents who take care of him. And basically, this is a story of how he faces fame. He becomes a famous football player. He has an injury, how he works through it. It's about fame. It's about family. It's about faith. And it's about life and loss. So it's a beautiful, touching, effective story. It reminded me a little bit, it had elements of like Forrest Gump and A Prayer for Owen Meany, weirdly, like these gentle giants, but I think readers will really love this one.
I love the cover too.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for a nice cover.
Last but not least, this is The Insomniacs, and I've always been a huge Alison Wynne Scotch fan. So the older I get, the more and more women I talk to are not sleeping. So this was an interesting premise because the 4 main characters they're in an online group, discussing their insomnia. They're up all night, and then they finally meet in person. One of them goes missing. So we have this wonderful story that captures Alison's wit, these amateur sleuths, and then this really satisfying conclusion. You know, how it all comes together. But I think this one will be great for the night owls. You'll be reading late into the night.
Okay, so that one's for my wife. She's an
Is
insomniac
she
and she reads at
really?
night.
Oh wow. Okay.
I think those two things maybe have something to do with each other.
Oh, and there's also a little bit of romance in that one.
Okay,
A
well,
little bit of romance.
we'll enjoy that too.
Yeah, but I think those are three like good palate cleansers for getting ready for spring, shifting over into summer.
Fantastic. I really enjoyed that. We're going to have to do this regularly. So
I would love
please
to.
come back. I'd love to have you, and we'll do the book picks, and we could even have other authors on for the two of us to speak to.
Perfect.
You're up for it?
Sounds awesome.
Love it. Love it. So listen, if people want to buy one of your books or learn more about you, where should they go?
My website's www.rochelle. Did I just say www? Okay, you're gonna get rid of that.
I still do it.
It's so old.
It's okay.
Okay, it's Rochelle.
I believe we're scrolling it without.
Okay, so you can find me at rochelleweinstein.com. I'm very active on Instagram, and I have a newsletter that it's grown exponentially, and I always support other authors. I'm always doing giveaways, contests, like a lot of interaction, and I will never spam you. So hope you'll sign up and have a conversation with me.
Will do. And by the way, thank you again for everything you do.
You're so welcome.
For the community. And something I have found is that Miami's literary community is very supportive of one another. And I love that about it. I don't know if that's the case in every city.
You have to be. It's a very, very supportive. Yeah. Listen, there's always like a bad egg everywhere in any business, but you have to be supportive of one another.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, thank you.
Thank
you for appearing as my guest. Thank you for the book picks.
Thank you.
And yeah, I look forward to doing this.
Me too.
Right.
You're great.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have here on this episode of the Miami Book Hub. I want to thank my wonderful guest, Rochelle, again for being on. I want to thank Miami's community newspapers for hosting us and producing the program in these lovely studios. And I want to thank you for tuning in. If you like what you see, please hit like, share it with your friends and family, and continue to follow us. We have some amazing guests lined up for future programs. So in the meantime, keep writing, keep reading, and stay curious, Miami.